Hey everybody, welcome back to the next video in the series. I've been playing a lot of stuff online, enjoying myself. This one might be a little bit short. All we're going to work on is reorganization and regrouping, which won't be a lot on this phase, but we're going to go through the airborne part, okay? Then we'll work on the 6th airborne after that. So this one I'm just going to cover the 82nd and the 101st. This is the part, here's kind of a nice little shot for you of the whole northern part of the map. It's a pretty good sized map. Most of you that play it know that. Um, so here we got the 6th Airborne down here after we did the drops. If you watched the last video, I went into detail on how the drops worked with the 82nd Airborne over here. And then I just did the 101st and the 6th Airborne on my own. You guys let me know if you like that or not. I'm trying to keep it from being a million clicks for you guys. I don't care if you want that, I'll do it. So you tell me in the comment section below. Remember to make sure you subscribe and comment. It helps the video rank higher. Give it a thumbs up if you like it. Um, I've kind of been doing some D-Day stuff. I'm still doing my walk them ride. I got the Civil War I'm playing with a buddy of mine. I still got other games I'm working on. Everything I'm in the middle of, I still have the files for, and in case you've never watched one of my videos, I apologize, but I get a little ADD because I see something, a documentary, a movie, a book, see somebody else's video, and I go, oh, I got to do that now. But I always keep them because I'll come back to them when I'm in the mood for them. Like one of the ones that's kind of been itching, it's kind of been need to scratch that itch again is the Clash of Arms game on Lobosits using their Age of Reason system. So that's kind of something I'll get back to probably again too. Anyway, I don't like it when guys talk forever about stuff that have nothing to do with the game, but I'm guilty of it myself. So anyway, now side note, I have been reading this right here. This is the D-Day book, the illustrated edition. I got it for my Kindle. I think I got it around Christmas. I got it like either it was free or super cheap because I forgot I got it. It was probably like 99 cents or might have been like a free one with the Kindle app. I don't know what it was, but I forgot I had it. Then I started reading, and that just sucked me into having to do this. Plus, you get around June 6th and D-Day, and I see all the things on Facebook where people are posting stuff on it. And it's like, okay, now I got to do some D-Day. So if you want a more detailed thing of the airborne videos, we did that on video 1. I'm not going to go through. I didn't go through any of the 6th airborne drop, and I'm a little partial to the Americans, not because it's a nationality thing. I don't understand all the hierarchy with the naming and stuff, and I'm learning that where this is really easy for me. It's letters and numbers, so I'm trying to learn the British structure, like how their units were structured. I think even they use like oh, I shouldn't have did this because now I don't know what it's called, but they use a different size unit that we don't use. It's not a regiment, it's not a battalion. I can't remember what the heck it's called. Anyway, um, I thought they used a different name of something, but I'm learning the British stuff, and honestly, I'm already into the beach landings. So so I'll eventually get those up too, and that's one of the things I love about the G.O.S.S system is for me digging down deep into the units and seeing what they are and stuff. I really dig that. I mean, I get just as much fun nerding out over that as I do the other stuff. But anyway, so you can see our airborne drop here. All we're gonna this will be a fairly short one as long as I can keep from rambling on too many rabbit trails. We're just gonna do reorganization and regrouping, and then the next video I do is gonna be the first Allied movement. Um, and we'll explain why that's important because during that movement phase we get to start to bring these fog of war units closer together. And what this part here is going to simulate, which I just think is fascinating. Again, hats off to these guys that design these games. I don't know how they come up with this stuff. But one of the things I love about the G.O.S system with the airborne drop is we have all these what they call fog of war units, but these are all airborne units or possible dummy units. And we don't know which ones are real and which ones are dummies. Most of them are real. Okay. We don't know how many of them died. I was going to scroll up to the top there, but there's a bunch that landed in terrain that they got killed or landed on an enemy and they lost the battle, so they were eliminated, or if they go in an all water hex, they're gone. So there's all that, and these guys here are basically do. So I don't know what time of night this is. I grew up with the Civil War and stuff like that. That was kind of my passion. So I'm kind of, I wouldn't say I'm new in World War II, but I don't know as much about it. And but so this is early in the morning. I think they took off at after midnight. I think from England, and you guys can correct me in the bottom if I'm wrong. And I want to say they dropped at 1, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning for sure. But I know it was early morning. And so these guys are running around the dark and they're grouping up, and 5 guys are finding each other here, 2 guys there, 10 guys here, 20 guys here, 30 turns into 50, and they go off and they're trying to get whatever their objectives were, and many of them were so far off they. But if you read in that book, it's just fascinating, a lot of detail in there. It's fun to hear about some of the towns. Okay, here's a little rabbit trail, but it's so this Saint Marie Dumont or whatever it is. There's a lot of good stuff in there about this, and so then I came and looked at the map because that fascinates me. Like, all right, I read about that. Where'd that happen? And it's like, oh yeah, and it was talking about the Germans there, and here's the Germans for the 709th, and all the airborne dropping around them, and they want to secure this town. And then there was another one up here. Uh, this Veraville that they wanted to get, to come off the beaches. So it's so cool. So what this next phase we're going to show you is it's basically these little fog of war units trying to regroup and then get into their battalions, which that's the reorganization is the battalion first. So we don't really get to do that because there's nobody's regrouped yet, right? So but you get to reorganize and regroup at the beginning of each movement phase. So we do get a second movement phase, which will be vital because then any companies that belong together can start to form up into parts of their battalion. And remember, there's 3 of the companies to each battalion. So if you're lucky enough to get 3, you can form a full battalion, which gives you a little bit of juice. It gives you some strength to try to attack because, we've already kind of woken up some of these German units here. They got an armor unit here and a full battalion here of the, looks like it's third battalion of the 1058. They got the 709 OSS, but he's not much of a threat, but he's a pretty decent threat right now. We got these little companies over here, the 919th, 1st Battalion, so we need to deal with that stuff, and we need to start opening this up so when 4th Division comes crashing into Utah Beach, they can start pushing out quick and not running into resistance. And I thought it was fascinating because you look at this, and originally they thought, oh, what a disaster. We're going to lose all this airborne. It was ineffective. It didn't do any good. But I think they look back on it on hindsight. And they realized, you know what, we actually lucked out because they were so scattered. Look at this compared to the 6th Airborne. 6th Airborne's pretty tight. We had a couple of guys down here because we have a drop zone here, I think. We had a guy here and a guy here, right? Otherwise, that's a pretty tight drop. I mean, they're pretty tight on stuff. And then you come over here to the Americans, and they're all over the place. And I guess, reading the book, some of that was inexperienced pilots that had never flown in combat. So they're freaking out about the flak and veering off and the cloud cover. They weren't allowed to break radio silence. So they come flying over and it was clear until they got to the continent. And then there's cloud cover and they can't see anything. And, again, I'm the kind of guy I got to read stuff over and over. So, if I say something that wasn't exactly true, feel free to put it down below. Remember to comment, click to like the page. Also, I'll put a link to this D-Day illustrated book. I'll put it in the comments below if you want to buy it through the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra, and Amazon gives me some of their fees that they charge their sellers or whatever. If it was from them, whatever they were making, they give me a little bit of that. So anything you do helps the channel. This is a labor of love. So not getting rich, but that was never the objective. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that. I apologize for kind of a long introduction. I guess I'm kind of a hypocrite because sometimes I'm like, come on, dude, get to the game. And I'm like, over here rambling on. So let's zoom in. Let's get started. This won't be very long. There wasn't very many because we didn't land on the only ones we're going to get to do is whoever landed on their drop zone, or like here they have a leader with them, right? So like nobody got on drop zone W. I think that's actually a glider drop zone, but nobody landed on drop zone O, So we're not going to have a ton of them. And then over here, we kind of got hosed. We got drop zone D and E together. I read all through the rules. I'm not really sure what you do if there's two drop zones together. I thought that rolling twice for each fog of war unit seemed a little off. So I just took the best one, whichever one had the best rating. And then we'll go through that so you understand what I'm talking about. If you want to see how the drops work, go watch the previous video. I go through that in detail. Again, if you guys want to see every little click, let me know. If you like the way I'm doing it, where I show you a few, and then we come back to the beginning of the next phase after I've done a bunch of them and kind of show you what happened, we can do that too. So when we get to the combat and stuff, I'll probably go through all that. I don't know if I'll go through every battle. I might zip through some, but you can see the results of them. But, want to try to make this somewhat doable. Okay, so we don't get to reorganize because nobody's flipped over yet. So this is one of my favorite parts of the game. I just find it fascinating that they found a way to simulate these little groups trying to get together. And so now we do the regrouping of the fog of war units. So fog of war units, they're eligible to regroup if they're stacked in a drop zone. So there's like this here. So these guys can do it here, and I think there's a drop zone here. Yep, and a drop zone here, I think. Yep. So they get to try to regroup. So those are very valuable, those ones that landed in a drop zone, because no one's been able to move yet. Now, after this phase, we'll do the movement, and that'll be these fog of war units trying to get, pull in and get to their drop zones, because you can put up to 4 on a drop zone. Now here we have 7, but that's because if they land on each other, you don't have to unstack them. So that's a huge benefit. All right, so we will go through how to do the regrouping and how the stats work for that, but let's just cover a few more things. So units stacked with the drop zone marker regroup on a DR equal to or less than the drop zone's regroup number. This number is in parentheses to the drop zone status on the unit scatter table. So if you remember, I gotta say this about the last video. So I'm watching the last video and I'm over here and it looks like I'm picking my nose. I am not picking my nose. I guarantee you, I have grown out some of you guys saw I had a full beard and everything. I trimmed it all off. So now this is all regrowing back in and it's curling up into my nose. So I get itchy. So I'm doing that. So I just want to clarify there's been none of the other business. And because I'm watching the video and I'm like, seriously, it looks like I'm totally just, got my finger up my nose, and it's because I'm in that little box, I like to have a little image of me. I don't want this big image. So anyway, I digress. I'm just letting you know there was no nose picking going on. Nobody said anything. I'm probably drawing more attention to it than I need to, but I just did it again, and I'm like, oh, I don't want people to think, dude, what are you doing? So anyway, if you remember when we did the airborne drops in the last video, we had to keep track of the status, all right, scatter and stuff. And this letter here, this DDDE, BEDC, CAB, that will decide how well these guys regroup. The worse that letter is, the more scattered around they are. So it's smaller groups of 1Z, 2Z, 4, 5, 10. You're not getting the bigger groups and full companies or decent sized companies or even battalions forming up because they're too scattered. So we can use this letter. So what you do is you go over here. Let's see, this is the airborne one. Okay, and I'll zoom in on this a little bit for you. That might be a little bit much. That's probably fine. It's a little blurry. I'll back out one. All right, so you remember here we had status A, B, C, D, E in the last video. And if you look in a little parenthesis next to it, it has a number. You need to roll that number or less to reveal this fog of war unit. So obviously an A versus an E, you have an A is a 7 and E is a 2. If it's just a leader in the hex, like this guy here, he can try to regroup this fog of war unit that he's stacked with, and if it's just a leader, you treat them as a value of 3. Okay, So, and if they're in a drop zone, like up here, we have Ridgeway, he's in drop zone T. So when we do drop zone T, that'll get an extra +1 to it, which is very helpful. So, all right. Already talked about the leaders there. So we're going to try this one right here, right out of the gate. We'll just get right into it. So if you remember, if there's no drop zone, this leader value is a 3. And we roll an 8. So that's a fail. So we don't get to see what that is. Remember, this is a mixture of dummy units and company units, and we want to try to get those company units found and then try to reorganize them into battalions so that we can start fighting. Right now there's a bunch of little companies all over, but they'll start getting more awake, and we got big dudes like this down here that we're going to have to deal with. So that's why we need to regroup and reorganize. Actually, it's the other way around. Reorganize and regroup. Try to use those right. Okay, so here we have drop zone T. So drop zone T was a D status. So we're going to walk you through this step by step. We'll just do it on probably the one here. So I'm not going to do it on every one. So if you go to the D status, boom, right there, you can see that it's a 3. So, and if we look at drop zone T right here, it was a D, right? That's why we had to keep all that stuff. So I'm going to close that. We don't need that over and over. So we start out with a D, but we got Ridgeway there. So he gives us a +1, so we get to regroup now on a 4. So that's all I got to remember is that number 4. I got 2 guys on there, and I did something goofy, I think, on that. So I always roll top to bottom, just so you know, right? And actually, I think I was accidentally rolling it higher. Okay, so I roll top to bottom. So I'm going to roll this guy first, and then this guy down here second. So the first one is a 6, so that's a fail because we need a 4. Second one is a 1. All right, so we get 1. So we get this guy right here. So we flip him over, and we're hoping he's a company, and he is. So here we got the H Company, 3rd Battalion of the 507th, right? So he's ready to rock and roll, and he'll be able to move during the movement phase 3, and we'll leave this other guy on drop zone T and see if we can, I got to remember, regroup, okay? So we'll see if we can regroup him next turn. All right, so what are we going to do next? All right, we got this guy here. That's drop zone N. Drop zone N is 1 unit. It was also the same status of D, but we don't have a leader on it, so we need a 3 or less, and we fail with an 8. So he stays a fog of war unit. Now, fog of war units can defend, they can't attack, so we definitely want to organize so that we can get ready to start attacking and holding objectives and whatnot. So, all right, so he failed. All right, next one over here, we're going to jump to the 101st Airborne because O doesn't have anybody on it. So we're at the drop zone A. It was an E status, which is the worst, which means we need a 2 or less, and roll top to bottom. Boom, we get a 1. We're excited about that. And we get a 6. So the top guy will flip, and he is Company E of the 2nd Battalion of the 502nd Parachute Infantry Regiment. So, we're organizing a little bit. This isn't, shattering any records by any stretch of the imagination, but we do have a nice big juicy stack down there we're going to get to deal with. All right, which is what we're going to do next, I guess. Okay, so D and E are here again. Now, in the rule book, I couldn't find what it says. So if any of you savvy veteran players or game designers want to give any input on that, I didn't think rolling twice, once for each drop zone, was reasonable. I felt like that was too much. So I just took the best one. I figured, okay, well, if there's 2 drop zones there, there's no way for me to distinguish which one was. So I'm going to use the best one that'll give them the benefit. I'm already losing a whole drop zone, right? Because the most you can put on there is 4. Now remember, there's 7 on here because 7 landed on there and I don't have to move them. You can leave them if they land on there, but after that, when you move, you can only move 4 fog of war units into a hex. So I just decided to take the better one, so I went with B. It was a B status, and that's a 6 or lower. So I was thinking, well, we should do pretty good even though we lost a whole drop zone. So let's go ahead. We'll open this up and see. right? So I'm going to roll once for each of those. So 7 rolls, and I just go top to bottom. So here we go. 1, a 10 is a 0, remember. 1, 3, 5, 0, 3. That's every one of them we got. So now we're going to flip them one at a time. I'm not going to lie to you, super nerdy. I love this part. So we're going to see, we're hoping, if all of these would be an actual unit, that'll be great. It's not likely, but that would be awesome. First one there, we get the G Company of 3rd Battalion. Oh, there's a dummy unit, so he's going to go away. There we get another company, a 4th company, a 5th company, and a 6th company. So that is only one dummy unit landed there, which means some of these other ones are going to be dummy units, but that's fine. We like that. That's good because you remember, we go back over here, we also got dudes that are going to have to try to get off this scatter table, which is kind of hard, right? We got 3 there, 1 here, 2 here, I think, and 1 here. So is there 2 there? No, there's 1 there. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these. We're hoping these are all dummy units or the least amount of possible of these guys here, of those companies, because they're harder to get back. So that was excellent. And if you look here, we have A Company of the 1st Battalion of the 501st and C Company of the 1st Battalion of the 501st. So I can't really show you because if I move the mouse, but it's the first one and the second from the right. Those will be able to reorganize into a partial battalion. So that'll make them a little stronger. So we're liking that. And I think we got one or two more. We got Drop Zone C, that's 3 units here. It was another D, so we need a 3 or less, so not great odds. We start out with a 3, that's good. We get another 0, that's excellent, and we get a 4. So 2 out of 3. I don't know, I can't remember. Was it Meatloaf? 2 out of 3 ain't bad, so we'll take it, especially when we only had a 40% chance of getting it. There we get a dummy unit, so that's a bummer. But then we do get another company, C Company, the 1st Battalion of the 506th PIR. So we'll take it. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this video up there. Just trying to do some shorter ones so they don't take so long. The next video I do, which I'm hoping to do one this week, will be moving all of this, and we still have to do the regroup and stuff for the 6th Airborne. Sometimes when I do these, I get excited. I do the 82nd, 101st, and then I go to the next phase, and it's like, oh, I got to do the 6th Airborne. It doesn't really affect anything, so it'll matter when we're playing full turns, but I will come back and do these. If you look at these guys have an excellent chance, because this is a drop zone, I think. Yeah, this one only got 1 on it. That had the most scatter, but this one right here got 4 on it. And then was this one? Yeah, this one got 3 on it. It's like that's pretty good. That's out of 3 drop zones, we got a total of what, 8? That's other than the fact we had a double drop zone over here in for the Americans. I mean, that's almost all of these combined. So, I think the British did pretty good. They have a really nice tight landing. A lot of them dropped in their zones. So anyway, next time we come back, we'll do that. Please like the channel if you haven't. Please make comments, good, bad, or ugly. Just try to be civil about it. And if you got any input, and then remember, if you want to buy the book through the channel, I'll put the link, or I'll put a link to the game on my website for my game store. I do own a game store for those of you that don't know, and I'll put an Amazon affiliate link if you prefer to buy it through Amazon versus directly from the store, or if I'm out of stock or whatever. So anyway, thanks for watching, and should get to you again here pretty soon with the movement phase. And again, very excited because I'm already doing the beach landings, which I am having a blast with. And so I can't wait to show you guys that. So thanks for watching.